Welcome and thank you for joining us for a special interview from Overt Software Solutions. Today we are joined by Mr. Graham Mason, CEO and founder of Overt Software Solutions. The conversation will be led by Helen Siswanto from the Digital Marketing and Content team at Overt Software Solutions. In this interview, Mr. Graham Mason will be sharing his long-standing experience in identity and access management, drawing on years of close work with institutions and partners. Before we begin, we would like to share a short introduction to who we are. Overt Software Solutions was established in 2010 with a focus on education and technology. We work across learning management systems, secure single sign-on, plugin development, and multi-factor authentication, supporting organizations internationally through teams based in the UK and Indonesia. We are proud to be Cyber Essentials Plus and ISO 27001 accredited, and we place strong value on providing honest expert advice. Our work is shaped by long-term partnerships and practical community-driven solutions that operate effectively in real environments. If you would like to learn more about Overt Software Solutions, you can visit our website at www.overtsoftware.com or scan the QR code on screen. Let us now move into the interview.
Hello, Mr. Graham.
Hello.
It's really nice to meet you.
Right.
And it is such a great pleasure to finally be able to
Excellent.
interview you. Are you nervous?
No, never.
No? Never. Wow. That's the spirit. All right. First question. Overt has been part of the UK Federation and GIST ecosystem for a very long time.
Yeah.
From your perspective, what do people outside day-to-day identity work most often misunderstood about how Federation actually function at scale?
Well, I think that really you've got to think about the sort of characters around federated access, and that'll be, in our case in the UK, it's mainly librarians because they're the ones with the resources. But then you need the technical aspects, so the IT team probably inside the university or college to work with them on that side, and also management as well. So really, in a sense, it's bringing three groups of departments, librarian or learning resources and IT teams and management together to understand, because there's a commitment on the management side as well, to understand how it gels together. So you couldn't do Shibboleth without just the IT team because you need the librarians as well. So I think that's probably, maybe in the early days, that was a misconception where they didn't realize that all three of these groups had to come together to then work on a basis where we can actually bring a lot of the good parts of Shibboleth together, federated access.
That's great to know that. Second question. Many institutions technically comply with Federation requirements. Why do you think compliance and confidence are often very different things when it comes to access management?
Well, like anything really, whether you're dealing with Microsoft or anything, any a platform, it always needs upgrading. There's always maybe bugs in the system, whatever like that. So really, like anything, if you've got an outdated federated access, mechanism in place, it's not going to be, the security is gone. So you need to keep on top of it, and that's where maybe the complexities can come in. But then. Overt Software, there is a team of support engineers, which are 24/7, so they're always available. They're there to help any problems. We've got a combination of with inside universities or college where they're really getting the student data from their Active Directory, so from a Microsoft directory, because it's broken up of identity management and service providers. In other words, the ones people are providing the resources for the students to learn, in the online journals, etc. They've also got to watch. So you've got to make sure that they're compatible, because if there's a weakness in the system, then that's when things can happen.
Nice. Next question. Overt works closely with institutions under real pressure. when an organization tells you their identity platform is working, what signal tells you whether it is or whether they are just coping?
Well, the thing about Federated Access, once you've set it up, there's not too many moving parts. If one part does break down, well, then yes, it can be quite catastrophic. But we have a lot of monitoring systems, and we're just introducing the new Shibboleth dashboard as well, which will actually highlight before what's happening. This is really good for the people inside the organization, because they can actually see, oh, right, that doesn't look right, so they can see it. But also for us as well. So we have an alert system, and that's went right back from when we first started with Shibboleth, whether it's with Zabbix or whatever, we've always had that alert system in place. And it's the same with our servers and everything. So it's really, in a sense, software. It's and I think with the future as well, this will be enabled even more with AI to let people know, oh, it looks like there's a problem with inside the system. And with our 24/7, as I just mentioned, we will carry out that alteration while everybody's fast asleep. So you wake up in the morning, the students come to their lessons, and everything is fine. So it's that seamless sort of blend between the support and what's happening.
Very interesting. In identity work, the theory is often sound, but failure tends to appear in operations. What does operational maturity actually look like for an access management in a live environment, and why does it matter very much?
Well, once these systems do come in place and they're mature, I mean, you've got to say, for instance, you've got to look at the long term when you're putting these systems in place. And whilst at the beginning you can put a system in place, later on you'll find that actually, because it's quite popular and because it's a key aspect of your environment now, you may want to look at things like load balancing. In other words, having two lots of systems in place. So as you upgrade one system, the other system's still live, because students these days, they're living in that sort of 24/7 sort of environment where that they may do work at 3-4 o'clock in the morning. It's so if a system goes down, so really in a sense it's looking at that. The vulnerabilities that will be part of it, but they're day to day taken care of, and they can also be taken care of when the students are not there. They go home for maybe Easter or Christmas or for summer break. But so yeah, we can do things then. But yeah, it's looking at it in a sense that the system. But then with our years of experience and years of experience with the engineers, they know exactly when something's going to happen. But yeah, things happen. Always an upgrade. Things happen to big companies like Microsoft when they upgrade their systems. Something may not work. You know what I mean? So we will. But with the load balance system, it's always there. You'll literally have peace of mind knowing that your students can access the resources that they need vitally.
It's great to know. It means people can put their trust in Overt Software. Next question. This one might be a little bit, difficult. But we shall see. Many teams struggle quietly with identity system. How do you help organizations to move towards that maturity without overwhelming the people responsible for running the services? Because in each organization, that there are different departments, especially technology. It keeps constantly changing. So how do you help with this?
Well, in the same sense, it's we were leading experts in that field, in the UK there. So it's I think it's our customers that ask. At any time, the customers want to know exactly what they want, and over time, it's shaped itself. In other words, things like attributes. That more and more things now are introduced with Microsoft. This is why we have our sort of our blended tool that moves things from Active Directory over to Shibboleth, and it's quite good. The student only has to log on once. In other words, log on using their Active Directory. they will seamlessly then move through onto to get their journal, to get the service provider that they require. So, yeah, it's our customers really, in a sense, tell us when they want to move on.
It's very nice. It's great to know that Overt doesn't just, have
Yeah.
their own minds, but they also kind of like,
We listen to the customers.
yes, have a great relation to the customers.
Excellent.
Next, GIST places strong emphasis on trust frameworks and safe access. How do you think about responsibility when your services form part of a wider trust ecosystem compared to being a standalone system?
Well, really, we've worked with GIST for a long time. In other words, I've got some great friends inside GIST there, so we know exactly what's happening. We're all part of a group that will contribute. I mean, GIST itself belongs to the SHIP Consortium, which is a group of people that actually, do all the updates, do all the major changes to that. So yeah, GIST itself. But then just do provide a service, but that's going to be free to their customers. So it's going to be limited. Where our service that we provide is actually taking control of everything from each stage. So really, in a sense, it's quite peace of mind for a librarian. After we've set everything up and everything's going great, IT managers or IT people move on. But that's okay, because they always know we're like an extension of the library team. So we always say, treat our engineers like they belong to you, your library staff, because that's how it's extended. And that way they have peace of mind. So if there is changes within inside departments, IT departments, that's okay, because we will look after them, and they have that peace of mind that we can provide that service, which we have been doing for nearly 17 years now.
Nice. Next questions. Overt operates in a highly specialized space. How has leading a specialist company shaped the way you think about growth and sustainability?
Well, in a sense, you say about Shibboleth, identity management, federated access management. The key factor is if there was no service providers, no journals, no for the students to look at. So it's key factor that both of these things could club in hand. So you'll see that a lot of interest will be in still the service providers. I mean, at the end of the day, what Shibboleth did was actually get the identity of the student. In the old days, they used to log on to the service provider. Service provider would know their identity, their username, maybe even know their password, but their username. Under federated access, they don't. It's all masked. It's but they also have peace of mind. But without the right attributes, they can't look at that resource. So before, people used to have a resource maybe for 14 students. The students would pass the username and password around, and then all of a sudden the service provider think, hold on, I've got about 50 people looking at my resource. So federated access has brought that down. It protects the student at the same time, but also it protects the service provider. In other words, if there's only a class that needs to access this journal, that's it. The correct attribute will be put in place, and they'll be under the same group that's in Active Directory. So it's if they're not in Active Directory or they're not part of the organization, their name will go missing, the attribute will be taken away, they can't access the resource. So that way it's everything is great.
Now, this is an important question regarding what you think, and this is what I personally wanted to know. So experiences changes perspective, like because of the environments and the changes of things. So what lessons from your earlier career influence have you make the decisions? Have you helped you to shape the decisions you make today?
Well, Shibboleth itself, federated access has moved on from what it was in the beginning. And I think what has sort of shaped us is that we've now, the dashboards that we've had the first dashboard, the iteration of that, they're the same. What it only helps as well, what we found out, it gives not only support to the organizations, but really it gives support to the engineers. It takes quite a bit of time, maybe over 2 years, maybe it could be longer, to train an engineer. So really, in a sense, they are a protected resource, because you've put all that sort of energy, all that effort into training that support engineer. So, but with the dashboard now, it gives them a little bit, maybe the time is not so long, but it also gives them a bit of support. They still need the groundwork, and that's always been taken care of by our CTO, Mr. Ed Beddoes. So, that grounding's still got to be there. But what it allows is now to take on quite a bit of sort of scope when we bring the dashboards in place, and other aspects as well. So that's pretty good.
Last question. So amongst everything of this question today, this brings back the conversation back to the purpose of Overt Software Solution. When people think about Overt in coming years, what do you hope they recognize beyond today's technology itself?
Well, in the same sense, what they're hopefully is that we've had a great team that's there to support them. But in a sense, Shibboleth itself is very, doesn't break down that often. So, it may not be that they will remember us, but it's in a sense, what we want is just something that was seamless. In other words, something that the service providers, they could get to the resource, maybe a link on Moodle. They don't realize that behind the scenes then we've set all that up to link to that resource. So in the same sense, we may not get any recognition, but it's been fun. I mean, this is the thing that you've got to look at, is that it's complex, that what we deal with, but it's fun. We have a great fun team as well. Overt itself is a fun organization. Everybody's knows what they're doing. They're working together. We don't. It's a great sort of teams that work. Plus, also we give advice out to the wider field as well. Whilst we have our customers that we're grateful for, and they give us finances for that. We do also provide other things like, on our websites, we'll provide tips, we'll provide PDFs. If there's an upgrade, we've got our system where people can email in, or there's a chat system. So we can provide that sort of free bit of service as well. So, and what I will say is the amount of people that do get in touch with us and just sort of say, just maybe a question that they want to know, maybe they can't find it, they will ask our engineers, and that gives them peace of mind for them to carry on. So it's a bit of a sort of a help system, but with AI coming into effect now, and ChatGPT asking the questions. But I did notice the other day on ChatGPT, they one of the questions were asked, they actually took some of our references from our website. So we'll be around for a long, long time, I think. Thank you.
I believe so. And it's great to have Overt. It's been like 17 years. Damn, that is insane, right? Yeah. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Byrne, for your time. Well, thank you everyone for staying around. See you guys soon.
Thank you for joining us for this interview. We hope this conversation has been helpful and informative. We look forward to seeing you again soon.